Hi, David O'Sullivan here, and welcome to the first episode of Monthly Film Roundup. And this video I'm going to be talking about all of the films that I've seen over the month so far and give my thoughts and opinions on each one of those films. So, as you may have seen it in the intro, the films that I'm going to be talking about in this episode are Hail Caesar, 10 Cloverfield Lane, High Rise, Eddie the Eagle, and Batman v Superman. Two of those films that I have already done full-length, in-depth, separate reviews of 10 Cloverfield Lane and Batman v Superman, so I will talk about them in this video, but not as much as the other three, which I haven't yet talked about. First up, it's Hail Caesar.
Here at Capitol Pictures, as you know, millions of people look to us for information and uplift and, yes, entertainment. And we're gonna give it to them.
And action.
An army of technicians and actors and top-notch artistic people are working hard to bring to the screen our biggest release of the year. Hail Caesar is a prestige picture with one of the biggest stars in the world, Baird Whitlock.
A truth we could see if we had, but... If we had... Faith. Cut!
Mr. Mannix.
What's up?
The director can't find Baird Whitlock.
Somebody slipped it under my door.
We have your movie star. Gather $100,000 and await instructions. Who are we? The future. Hello, Bert.
Hello, Mr. Mannix.
Lawrence, Obi, thank you all for coming. The studio needs your help. Baird Whitlock has been kidnapped.
This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
She sings the perfect harmony.
Now, Hail Caesar I saw at the very beginning of the month. I think it technically came out at the end of February, but I didn't get around to seeing it until March. I could have probably seen it at the end of February, but I just didn't get the chance to, so I didn't get to see it until beginning of March. So I thought I may as well talk about it in this video, even though it probably technically is a February film. I'll still talk about it here, because I actually surprisingly enjoyed Hail Caesar. I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I sort of did, because I watched the trailer, so I was like, I kind of knew what it was going to be like in that respect. But obviously it's a Coen Brothers film, but it looks very different from a lot of things they've done before. Like, it's not kind of a serious, dramatic kind of film. It looked like it was more going to be more light-hearted and more comedic. And in that respect, I really enjoyed Hail Caesar more than I thought I would. I don't think it was a perfect film. I don't think it's one of their best films, but I did have a really good time watching Hail Caesar. I think it was funny, it was entertaining, it was enjoyable, and probably the biggest thing I liked about Hail Caesar was that it was so refreshingly, enjoyably subversive. You know, it wasn't like anything else. It wasn't trying to be like anything else. It was being its own thing, and in that respect it was just so much fun to watch. It was just so kind of liberating in that way, because it wasn't restricted or bogged down. It didn't feel like it was trying to be anything else. It was being its own thing. It was different, it was proud to be different, and I really liked that. And it was so kind of fun. Like I said, it was so playful. It was funny. I did find it funny and enjoyably, kind of playfully, just goofy and silly, and I just really liked that. I thought it would get slightly repetitive and slightly annoying, but I was constantly entertained. I never got bored, and I could see some people coming out of this film thinking, oh, that was a bit weird, I didn't really like that, because my mum and sister did. They thought it was a well-made film, but it wasn't really their cup of tea. They thought it was a little weird and they didn't really get it. And I could see the general audience, you know, not really kind of connecting with it and not really enjoying it as much as, say, I did, or maybe other people did. But yeah, like I said, I had a really good time with Hail Caesar. I think the cast was great. Even though the trailer seems to suggest it revolves around George Clooney, and that is an aspect of the plot, it's really Josh Brolin's film. He's the lead character. It all kind of revolves around him. He's the kind of guy in the middle of it all, in charge of everything. And I really like Josh Brolin in this film. I think he did a great job. All the actors, really, I think they all really sold it in their performances, and you could tell they were just having fun. It was just fun for them to just kind of let their hair down and just do something different. You know, it didn't take itself too seriously. They kind of just more fun doing it, and it was just really enjoyable to watch in that way. And I think everyone just did a great job. I didn't think it was perfect. I think there were certain scenes that maybe could have been tightened up a bit, so that it had a better pacing to it perhaps, because it did feel a lot longer than it was. But other than that, I had a great time with it. I really enjoyed Hail Caesar. I thought it was just a ton of fun.
Let's spend 24 hours, but we're looking for him. We don't want it in the gossip columns.
This is going to cost the studio a lot of money.
And that's where you come in. I need some cash.
You must have very strong forearms. Is it hard squeezing it like that?
It's part of the job, miss.
I'd like to know what the hell is going on here. 20 million readers want the truth, Eddie.
Truth, yes.
Eddie?
So won't you tell me no truth? I wanna only your lies. Don't you tell me no truth? I want only your lies.
This is a drama, Mannix, a real drama.
Mr. Mannix, I know it sounds screwy, but someone's calling from the future.
Good Lord.
So give me only your lies. Give me only your lies. Give me only your lies. Give me only your lies.
Wondering what's going on?
Next up, it's High Rise.
For all its inconveniences, Lang was satisfied with life in the high-rise, ready to move forward and explore life. How exactly? He had not yet decided.
I'm so sorry.
I'll survive.
I thought you were empty.
I just moved in.
You're an excellent specimen. Why don't you come up later and have a drink?
You don't know how things work around here, do you?
I'm a fast learner.
You built all this.
I put all my energies into this town, but I am the architect of my own accident.
Is that a horse?
Probably.
On the 40th floor.
Your husband appears intent on colonizing the sky. And who can blame him when you look at what's going on at street level?
How's the high life?
Prone to fits of mania, narcissism, and power failure.
Starring Tom Hiddleston and directed by Ben Wheatley. Again, another quite different film that I didn't really know what to expect, but it was another film which I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, I really like the look of that. It looks really cool and different. It's cool and quirky and different, and like Hail Caesar, and I like films like that where it's not conforming to just the generic conventions of a typical big Hollywood movie. It's more independent in a way, and it's more like trying to do its own thing. And yeah, directed by British filmmaker Ben Wheatley. This is essentially an independent British film, but it's got a kind of sci-fi element to it. It's kind of like dystopian in a way. I mean, it's set in the 70s, but it's kind of like an alternate reality version of the 70s, in which it's like a futuristic version of the 70s. So it's a kind of like a Watchmen thing going on there, I suppose. And it's set in this futuristic kind of tower block in the 70s that Tom Hiddleston moves into. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't really know what to expect with High Rise going into it. I didn't know whether I would love it or hate it. I thought it was going to be one of those films that I didn't know whether I was going to really enjoy it or really kind of just not be on board with it at all. But I'm happy to say that I really did love High Rise. I do have some issues with it, but overall I just really enjoyed it. It was really my kind of film because I just really like independent sci-fi films where it's not all really big and crazy over the top. It's more focused really on the story and the characters, and to get an independent British film, I have to support that. And I really like supporting the independent British films as much as the big Hollywood blockbusters, and Ben Wheatley did an incredible job with this film. Apparently it was very divisive among its release, among critics. Like, some people loved it, some people hated it. Like, it was really polarising in that way. But I really did like High Rise. Like I said, it was really my kind of film. The humour in it there's a lot of black comedy to it. It kind of reminded me of American Psycho in a way. I mean, it's not really like American Psycho, but it was kind of like American Psycho meets Snowpiercer in a way. The whole kind of classes thing, like it's like the lower classes at the bottom of the tower block and the highest, most richest and wealthy at the top. And it's kind of like it all kind of just goes into chaos towards the end, kind of like a Hunger Games Snowpiercer thing in a way, but all the classes just go to war and over, and it just turns into chaos. And as the film progresses into the third act, it just becomes more and more chaotic and out of control. And it was really quite entertaining and fun to watch. In a way, it was quite serious because it did kind of reflect our world today. Surprisingly enough, despite being set in the 70s and being this futuristic vision, there were many parallels to the real world and our society, which was quite interesting, to say the least. It was weirdly kind of resonating, and relevant, which I found quite odd. I mean, apparently they were planning on doing this film for a while, but they were just going to doing it now. But I think now was the perfect time for this film to be released, because it really kind of seemed quite relevant to the time we're living in now, and I could really see something like this happening in the near future, which is a little worrying. But yeah, like I said, as it all erupts into chaos and goes further and further down into this just chaotic mess, it becomes quite funny to watch, because the characters, Tom Hiddleston, Luke Evans is great in this film. I absolutely loved him. Jeremy Irons as well, just a great British cast in here. And yeah, it's really funny because it's all going into chaos and everyone's just going crazy over the stupidest, tiniest little things. And that's how it was kind of reflected the real world in that way, in that people just go crazy and mad and insane over just stupid little things. Like, you know, someone couldn't get something from the shops and they just go crazy and lash out on someone. It was just so funny, because it starts off really beautifully shot, all these epic big shots, almost Kubrickian in a way, and then as it erupts into chaos, it becomes more handheld and more frantic, and I just really like that. There's this particular shot when Tom Hiddleston just goes crazy in the shop, fighting over this pot of paint that he wants, and it's just a really long handheld take, and it's really funny. And like I said, it was really quite crazy and weird and different, really pushed the boundaries. I could see, like with Hail Caesar, but probably even more so with this, the general audience that's coming our way going, what the hell was that all about? That was just really weird. But I personally really liked High Rise. It was different. It had some dark humour in there, which I really liked. The performances were great. Tom Hiddleston in the lead there, Luke Evans as well, Jeremy Irons. The only criticism I have is that it felt like it went on a little too long. Like, it got to a point I was like, that's probably going to cut off there, and it didn't. It kept going. To be fair, it did start and then flashes back, so it needed to get back to that point first before the end of the film, but it did get to a point in the film toward the end when I was like, that's probably going to wrap up now, but then it didn't, and it kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going, and then I think the third act kind of dragged me a little bit, and I feel like it could have cut off slightly sooner. But other than that, that's really all the problems I have. I really surprisingly enjoyed High Rise. So yeah, there we go, High Rise.
We pay the same charges as the top floors. We want our fair share of the power.
Things would be better if we could afford to move to a higher floor.
I think we should be prepared to meet moderate resistance.
The ones who are the real danger are the self-contained types like you.
Perhaps you're right.
What are you doing? What are you doing in there?
Teething problems. Building's still settling.
Doesn't it seem odd that a man can fall from the 39th floor and not one police car turn up? Where's the sirens?
What have you got there?
A kaleidoscope.
What can you see through that thing?
The future.
Okay, before I go on, obviously change the location here. I was filming in a hotel room in Southampton, but there were some technical issues I had with my camera, my MacBook, and one thing led to another, and I couldn't carry on filming. But I'm back here now, and yeah, the next film, it's Eddie the Eagle.
As we embark on a new era for sport,
it's an opportunity to discover a new kind of athlete.
Okay, hands up, that was my fault.
For as long as I can remember,
Champion!
it has been my ambition to become an Olympian.
Eddie, you are not an athlete.
You're right. I'm never going to go to the Olympics. I'm going to go to the Winter Olympics.
you will never be Olympic material.
Let's do it.
I really need a coach.
You do realize the time to start jumping is when you're 5 or 6.
What would you know about it anyway?
Bronson Peary, 1968 champion.
How come I've never heard of him?
They kicked him out.
He was disrespectful of the sport.
Oh, it's just after a few tips.
Give up. There's one for free.
Could you give me a push, please?
A push?
He's a lot higher than I expected it to be.
Oh, wait!
I fell
Bend your leg!
Again, this was another film that I really like the look of the trailer. It looked like a typical kind of by the numbers, kind of cliche, inspirational underdog true story kind of film. But again, I really like the look of the trailer. I thought this is a film that I really like the look of. I think I really enjoyed this film, and I went to go and see it, and I did actually really enjoy this film, and I thought it was really good. You know, was it anything groundbreaking? Not really. No, it is kind of the same thing that we've seen before from a typical inspirational underdog true story kind of film, like I said. But it was so well done, and the main character of Eddie Edwards, played by Taron Egerton, was just so great. He was the star of the show, and Taron Egerton did such a good job in the role. I think he's a great up-and-coming young actor. I mean, he did a great job in Kingsman. That was a great breakout role for him there, and then this, something completely different, but he's just as good. It just shows how diverse of an actor he is and how good of an actor he really is, and I can't wait to see what he does now going forward. And also Hugh Jackman in there as well as his coach, Bronson Perry, and he was really good. That was one of the best things about the film, I think, the relationship that they had and the journey they both go on together throughout the film, and how their relationship evolves and changes as it goes on throughout the film, and it's just great. And like I said, the character of Eddie Edwards, played by Taron Egerton, is just one of these characters that you can just really root for and get behind, because I love films that have characters that just don't give up. They just, you know, they keep going, they keep fighting, they just don't give up and don't give in, no matter what. And it kind of reminded me of Unbroken in that way. A very different film, but in the sense that the lead character was this person who just wouldn't give up. They would just keep trying, they would keep going, they would never give up, never give in, they would never break. And it was the same kind of thing here with Eddie Edwards, because he wasn't spectacular at what he did. He wasn't a great Olympic ski jumper, but the fact that he was so determined and was so committed, and he really wanted to do a good job, and he just wouldn't give up, he wouldn't give in, he just wanted to keep going and keep trying to do his best, because he desperately wanted to do it. And it was just so good, because you can really get behind him in that way. It gets to that point in the film when he's at the Olympics, and you just can't believe it, you know, from how it starts off at the beginning of the film, where he constantly keeps getting beaten down, and he keeps, you know, he's not any good at anything, and you think, oh my god, he's not going to get anywhere, no one believes in him. But then it gets to the point where he actually makes it to the Olympics, and you realise how much of a miraculous, triumphant achievement that was. He actually ends up making it to the Olympics, and ends up actually competing, and it's just great. And the fact that he doesn't just want to become just some one-off stupid novelty actor, even when he gets there and competes, he still wants to try and do his best and take it seriously and do a really good job. And it's just great, because you can really get behind him and root for him. And it's such a triumphant, uplifting, inspirational, true story there. And I really like films like this, because it was just a really nice film. And that's a really big compliment, because a lot of films nowadays have lots of swearing or sex and violence or whatever. But Eddie the Eagle, it was just so nice. You know, it didn't have anything horrible or detrimental or anything about that. It was just such a nice, well-meaning, high-spirited, kind of uplifting, inspirational true story that you could really get behind, and it really just put a smile on your face. It was just so much fun. There was a lot of comedy and humour there, and although it was something that we kind of seen before, it was a little bit by the numbers in that way, but at the same time it was just such an uplifting, inspirational, true story film that was just so much fun to watch, and I thought it was great. So there we go, Eddie the Eagle.
You're not gonna give up, are you?
I'm gonna do it. I was kicked off every team I was ever on before I even got a chance to prove myself.
That's why I need my own moment.
It's a world that doesn't want to know you.
So what's new?
I know what it's like to be written off. I can get you your moment. It's gonna hurt like hell.
We have no desire to be associated with ludicrous antics.
I think a little bit of weed came out.
And defeat.
You're a disgrace to the sport.
Really?
Personal best! And we're a disgrace!
I love proving people wrong. I have to do this.
You got more spirit than any of those other jumpers out there.
Here he comes, Britain's Eddie Edwards.
You're Eddie the Eagle.
Just fly.
And he's off. Can he pull off the impossible?
Okay, next up, it's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
The world needs to know what happened and to know what he stands for. That kind of power is very dangerous. Let the record show that this committee holds him responsible.
That's how it starts. The fever. The rage that turns good men cruel.
This Bat vigilante is like a one-man reign of terror.
You don't get to decide what the right thing is. Nobody cares about Clark Kent taking on the Batman.
This means something. It's all some people have. It's all that gives them hope.
People hate what they don't understand. Be their hero, Clark. Be their angel. Be their monument. Be anything they need you to be. Or be none of it. You don't owe this world a thing. You never did.
Like I said at the beginning of the video, Batman vs Superman is one of the films that I've already talked about a great deal in a few other videos, mainly in my spoiler-free film review, which I give my full and in-depth thoughts on everything about the film, so I'm not going to talk that much about Batman v Superman here, but what I will say is that overall, I did like Batman v Superman. I don't think it deserves the massive amount of hate it's getting from a lot of critics. A lot of the problems and issues the critics have, I do have as well, and I agree with them, but I think they're being too harsh on it. I think overall it is a good film. I think it is fun. It's not perfect, not by any means. It does have flaws. I do have problems and issues with it, definitely. But I did overall, like I said, I did overall enjoy the film. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. And just to summarise, I think 5 points of why I think it is good and why it is worth checking out is, so first, the opening sequence. I think the opening sequence of the film is great. I think it starts off really strong, really gets you hooked into the film. 2, Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne Batman. I think he did a great job. I think he was one of the best things about this film. He was one of the standouts, and he was just great as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, and he just really nailed it. 3, the visuals. No matter what you think about Zack Snyder as a director, he's undeniably extremely talented when it comes to visuals. Just look at this film, it's just visually spectacular just to look at it, and it looks like a comic book just brought to life on the big screen. So I think it's worth checking out just for the visuals of it alone, and it was just great in IMAX. 4, the action sequences, of course. Again, Zack Snyder, another one of his strong points is action, and the action sequences in this are incredible. They're just so great and so much fun to watch. And number 5, it's Batman and Superman. This is the first time we've ever seen Batman and Superman together on the big screen for the very first time. And we've got Wonder Woman in there as well, the first time she's ever been in a film in 75 years. And just to see the two of them together, and then just see Wonder Woman come in at the end and see them all fighting together on the big screen, I think it is just worth it, just for that alone. Just such a great moment in the film, and seeing them all team up together, take on the bigger threat, and it is great. I think so. I think, really, even though it does have some fundamental problems and issues here and there, I think as a film overall, I think it did work, and I think I did like it and enjoy it, and I think it is worth checking out. So there we go, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Do you know the oldest lie in America, Senator? The devils don't come from hell beneath us. They come from the sky.
20 years in Gotham, how many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race. And we have to destroy him.
Not our enemy.
Black and blue. God versus man. Day versus night. The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming.
Now on to the final film that I'm going to be talking about in this first episode of Monthly Film Roundup for March is going to be 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Children behave, that's what they say when we're together, and watch how you play. They don't understand, and so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night, and then you put your arms around me as we come to the ground, and then you say, I think alone. There doesn't seem to be anyone around.
10 Cloverfield Lane, like I said, like with Batman v Superman, I have already done a full-length review of the entire film. You can always check out my spoiler-free review of the film. But again, overall, I was really pleasantly surprised. I kind of expected it to be good. I knew it was going to be something different from Cloverfield, but I was really pleasantly surprised with this film. It's even better than I thought it was going to be. And I came out thinking, well, this was actually one of the best films of the year so far, I think. It was so well done. I'm really glad they didn't go down the same route of the big monster movie thing, because we've seen that already before in Cloverfield. We don't need to see it again. We don't really need to see just the same thing rehashed over again. And the fact that J.J. Abrams and his production company, and it was all kept under wraps and kept secret until just like a few months ago, and then released the trailer, and it was just so great. It was such an unexpected but pleasant surprise, and a really well-made film. The story was interesting and engaging, the characters were well written, and it was extremely tense and suspenseful at times, and it really had me hooked and engaged the entire time. I have a couple of little nitpicky issues with it, just really nitpicky issues. I was so tempted to give it 5 stars in my review. Same with Deadpool, but on the whole, I thought it was a great film, and I really don't have that many major issues with it. I think it was such a well-made film from all perspectives, from writing, from directing, from acting. I think it all really came together to make a really great, suspenseful, engaging, entertaining horror thriller film, and I just absolutely loved it.
Don't open that door! They're going to get all of them killed!
Something's coming.
So there we go, that wraps up the first episode of Monthly Film Roundup, March in review, and overall, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, the films we got were very different. All the films I saw anyway, they were all very different to one another. But I liked that because there was a lot of different things to choose from there, and a lot of different things to see. And I like going to see all different kinds of films. I like going to see independent British films and then going to see big Hollywood blockbusters. I like having that mix there. I like going to see all different kinds of films. And we got a lot of very different films this past month. Even though overall I did like them all on certain levels and to certain degrees. My favourite and my pick of the month for March 2016 is 10 Cloverfield Lane. So there we go, that wraps up my monthly film roundup for March. If you like this, then make sure to click subscribe to see more. But for now, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.